Hi everyone, I hope you're okay. If you're on mute, that's okay, it's fine. Welcome to another session of the KKLT virtual events. We've been doing this for a few months now, since July. If you're a newbie here, you're very welcome. If you're watching us from YouTube, welcome. And those joining us from Facebook, please interact with us during the session. We'll be happy to see your views, to see your chats. And for us that are on Zoom, please feel free to use the chat box and also use the app. Is about nutrition. We want to know what is this about nutrition that we keep on being told about. We keep on hearing all about nutrition. So we're going to have a guest speaker, a very, very informative guest speaker. And we're going to hear different perspective of why do we need vitamins? Why do we need all the minerals that we're always told about? Why is nutrition that important to us? And that said, this is coming from a few other episodes that we've done. I actually even called it episode. A few other events that we've done. The previous one we did was mental health, which was very, very good. And on that note, please remember what we need to do so that we can improve on our future events. And on that note, I'm going to introduce a woman that is very dear to me, the holder and the founder of KKLT. And she's going to tell us a few things about KKLT, why it's important, why it's here today, and just a few things that have been going on at the background of KKLT. So Veronica Carraro, welcome to the floor, to the stage.
Thank you, everyone. May I first of all start by welcoming everyone who have joined us today. As you've heard from our lady Jane, is that we've been doing these events and really from a leukemia perspective. As you all know, I'm the founder of Kevin Carraro Leukemia Trust. And just for those people who don't know, we started Kevin Canara Leukemia Trust as for legacy for my son. He was diagnosed with leukemia at 22 years old, and he had to undergo treatment for leukemia. Unfortunately, they couldn't help him because he needed a bone marrow transplant, and unfortunately, he couldn't get one. So, but what was really very tragic is not that he had leukemia. The fact is that he could have had a second chance only if he could have gotten a bone marrow match. Unfortunately, the saddest thing also is that there are also very few Black people who are on the register. So if you compare the Black community in the bone marrow register and the Caucasian numbers, we come very, very, very low. So if you are Black, and unfortunately, people don't know about stem cell transplant, and we decided that how best than to keep Kevin's legacy going by making sure that we get people to know this, we create this awareness so that most Black people, especially BME, can actually register to become stem cell donors. When you become a stem cell donor, you save a life, and I don't think there is anything noble in life than saving a life. So that is why we started Kevin Canara Leukemia Trust. Our aim is to increase those numbers for Black people in the bone marrow register. The whole world over, there are less than 2%, in fact, less than 1% of Black people in the bone marrow registries. So we need those numbers increased, and that's why we create awareness. But within that, and especially during this COVID, our aim has been to really kind of support people who are undergoing leukemia with their families as well, and their carers, as well as giving this information out there that we know that can help anyone and anybody. Even without leukemia, we need this information so that we can lead that life that we always want to. So without talking too much, because we got a lady waiting to talk to us about nutrition and how important it is, and especially from a leukemia perspective or any illness. In fact, not only that, even for our general health, then let me not take her time, and I'll give it back to Jane so that she can welcome our guests tonight. And we're going to learn more about KKLT as we go along. in the next 1 hour, 2 hours or so. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and welcome.
Thank you for that, Veronica. As you've heard, KKLT is a big organization and it's been here for quite a few number of years. So if you're not familiar with it, we're going to share the links. We're going to have information about KKLT as we continue. And I'll please urge you, if you've got any questions, ask. Feel free to ask whatever question you've got. And one more thing, I would urge everyone to mute themselves. If you've not been muted already, mute yourself so that we can give the guest a chance to be audible and not be distracted. Yeah, so please mute yourself. And I did one thing. I forgot to introduce myself. I was so focused in having the event running. My name is Jane Aliet. I'm going to be your moderator and have been the moderator of the virtual events. And feel free to share your comments. So at this moment, I want to introduce the lady of the hour. She's called Sonya Barnes. She's a very amazing nutritionist, qualified. You know, all those paperwork that we would look into. Yes, she's got them. She's got all those masters and degrees and what. She's amazing. So she's going to talk to us today about nutrition, the importance of vitamin D and other minerals that we sometimes maybe confused. We don't know whether we need them or not. And she's also going to talk to us about immunity. Our bodies need, we do need to, sometimes we know these things, but we need to be reminded now and then. And she's going to do this beautiful job. She's also been involved in a lot of research, which mostly involves with our nervous system, mostly psycho-nervous immunity. She might not touch into that today, but she's going to leave her socials and how to contact her at the end of the day. So with no further ado, I'm going to introduce Madame Sonya Barnes. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jane. Thank you for that introduction there and sharing, talking about me. And of course, thank you, Sister Victoria, for reaching out and saying, okay, invited me for this platform. And of course, all the viewers, just tuning in and logging in, thank you for, taking some time out of your day, your Saturday, to spend with us this evening. So a little bit about me, a little bit more, just a little bit touch. I mean, no, Jane gave you all the you probably need to know about me anyway. But I also like working with individuals, trying to find their root cause. If there's a headache, why is there a headache? Okay, so you may take some aspirin or paracetamol, but what's causing that headache? And I'm like an investigator, keep digging to find out what's the root behind that. So this evening, I just don't come here to talk about nutrition, how important nutrition is. And of course, do I have co-host now, Jane, so I can share my screen? I've got some slides to share with the audience.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, yes.
Okay, fantastic. All right, it's not there yet, just coming up. So as I'm waiting for co-host, so why nutrition? Why do we have to eat foods, or certain particular foods anyway? Hopefully I'll be able to expand on that as soon as I get some access here to share. I mean, let's try that again. Not there yet, Jane?
Not there? Well, Richard, can you hear us? Is Sonya?
So why nutrition? What is nutrition? Nutrition is food. Nutrition brings more than just calories. When we eat food, we eat every day. Now, if I should ask you, what did you eat for lunch and dinner today? What? And I'm not here to criticize what you're eating, but just to share about the importance of whatever you put in your body, so you become. What you eat is who you are, but also what you absorb in your body. And so nutrition is very important. Now, for those who drive a car, okay, we drive a car and we have to put petrol in the car, they put water, they put oil, you take it for service. There's specific things that we need to put into the car. We ain't going to put sugar into the fluid cap, fuel cap? No. For sugar to run the car? No. But petrol? Yes. Equally, the body needs nutrients in order to function better. The performance of the body, in terms of how we go about our daily life, you know, we need nutrition. And there are specific nutrients that the body requires. There are some nutrition, some aspects that the body makes, so it's readily available. But then there's others that need to be in the diet on a daily basis. So I hope I'll be able to share my slides soon to expand on that. Just have another go. Okay, not there just yet. Okay, so I'll just keep talking. I need the slides up as soon as possible. So I talk about the earthly father of medicine, and he said, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food." And as I'm talking about nutrition, I'm actually talking about the foods we eat. When we go to the shop to buy or do our shopping, what is it we put in our basket? Is this stuff that is actually going to rejuvenate our cells, or are they going to deplete our cells? And I've got a slide coming up here that I've asked about, what is your nutrition? What do you eat? Are you an individual who eats healthy? And if you ask two individuals, what does healthy look like? It would slightly look different. Some will say, okay, well, I eat all greens and vegetables and fruits. I try to follow the guidelines in eating my 5 pieces of fruit every day. Or some may say, well, I eat healthy. And you say, what does that look like? Well, I eat a fruit and I'll eat some crisps, and it's vegetarian, so that's okay. But we need to look at the nutrients in what we're eating. Is that providing us with, let food be thy medicine and medicine thy food? Now I should ask the question, how are you feeling at the moment? You know, with health, there's a triangle. I call it 3-legged stool. And we've got the physical health, mental health, and social health. Now, this evening, I want to hone in closely on the physical aspect, and I will be talking about nutrition. So continue from where we left off earlier. So this is the outline for the session. What is nutrition? The importance of it. The gut microbiome. What is that? Do I need to take notice of that? Nutrient deficiency. When things are low in the body, okay? Is there a link to chronic illnesses? We'll talk about macro and micronutrition, nutrients, the importance of vitamin D. And we'll also see whether or not there's lots of talks out there. There's some research now. And even the doctors and all the medicals and the consultants are actually accepting that, yes, nutrition is key. And nutrition will have a direct link with illnesses. So COVID, and we'll talk about leukemia as well. Okay. My screen just keeps, great. Nutrition is a science that interprets the nutrients and other substances in food in relation to maintenance, growth, reproduction, health, and disease. So nutrition, the foods we eat, is more than just some calories we put together. It's far, far more than that. Nutrition is very important, and I've done some research here just to expand and just to confirm that the diet that we have on a daily basis, what we partake in, what we put in the body, have an influence on the disease and increase the risk of disease that we face on a daily basis. Whether that could be diabetes, could be headache, it could be fatigue, whatever it is, it will have a direct impact on how we perform. Here again, disease, nutrition diseases and nutrient toxicity, because they go hand in hand. So when we go out shopping, are we buying organic foods, the toxins that are on the foods, what comes into the body? Also, it could actually be pesticides, herbicides, whatever that is, coming into the body, and that will have a negative impact if it's not healthy.
What are you doing here?
Someone needs to mute their mic.
Yes, as I requested earlier, can everyone mute themselves, please?
Right, I'm doing 3 jobs. I'm going to move my slides along now as well.
Sorry, Sonia.
I know, I've got the host, I've got the door as well to do, so that's good. That's fine. So look at this chart here, okay? Just pay attention to the chart where you actually ask about eating your 5 a day. Now in England, we know we have this 5 a day rule, we have your 5 pieces of fruit. Now, I'm just gonna hone in a little bit on where it says, look at race, okay? Black individuals, black folks, we down on eating our fruits. The 5 a day. I just want you to have a look at this, because that then ties in quite nicely into the slides further down as to why are we, or why that people or me individuals, that they're more susceptible to illnesses. Are we not eating a healthy diet? And it'd be very, very good to find out in the chat whether or not people are actually eating a healthy diet. Moving on. Okay. So this slide talks about processed foods. Now, or donuts or crisps and chocolate, and we all like those things, but the calorie intake is quite high. But not only that, those foods have very little nutrients in them, very, very little. On processed foods like your fruits and vegetables have lesser calories, but they're more nutritious. So I'm just putting these slides out here, information, for you to have a reflection in terms of what is it that you're eating on a daily basis. What's your diet like?
Who's this? Sorry, Sonia, can I just cut you short?
Sure.
You? Participants, please, whoever, I can't really tell who's not on mute, who's that is the background noise is quite loud.
I think it's best if you can mute everybody, and then just mute everybody, and then whoever is talking can unmute themselves.
Okay. Veronica, can you do that, please? Because you're the host.
Yeah, just mute everybody. And then
Veronica?
Because there's so much, Is Richard there? Richard, can you mute everybody there?
Yeah, hold on, guys.
Sit there.
I just mute them all because
And be a good boy. Sit there. Be a good boy.
I think it's that James Mburu. I think he's the one who is talking.
This James Buru? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the one.
No.
Can you mute yourself, please?
I've muted.
Okay, I think everyone is mute now.
Yeah, we still have so many who are not muted there, but I think it's the best will be mute everybody, and then whoever is talking can unmute. Anyway, it's gone.
I think. Sorry about that, Sonia. Please go on.
Okay, so we looking at some essential nutrients, and I said before, there are some nutrients where the body, you can actually find it in the body, but there's some that need to be in on a daily basis. So, okay, let's move that person. Okay, right, so major nutrients. So we need our carbohydrates, we need our protein, we need our fiber, we need actually need vitamins, minerals, water, and fat. Now you might be probably thinking, fat, do I really need fat? I'm trying to lose weight. Why would I want fat in my diet? But it's crucial for you to nutritious fat, have nutritious fat in your diet. It's not the fat, it's not the healthy good fat that's going to pile on the fat on the body, or what I refer to as excess blessings. So you have a little bit of weight to lose, that's okay. But fats are crucial and important in the diet. Okay. What are some of the key nutrients we're talking about today? Protein, building blocks of all the tissues. So if you looking at the screen, just for an idea, your diet may not consist of meats, and because you're vegan and of course vegetarian, of course there are loads of other beans and legumes that will give you the protein that you need in your diet. Chickpeas as well as lentils and all those lovely beans will give you the protein. Protein, though, it keeps the body healthy and strong. It supports growth and development. So we need to, on your plate on a daily basis, you need to have a good amount of protein, but protein needs to be in accordance to your body weight. And often I have clients who will say, okay, they're sharing in terms of what they eat on a daily basis, and they will have like half a chicken on the plate. Now that's just too much protein in one sitting, because the protein needs to be in accordance to the weight of the person. Fats. Here are some examples of fats. And I've just given an idea to cover all diets. So that could be vegetarians, vegans, and meat eaters. Fat supports the joints. Fat is anti-inflammatory. So I'm actually not talking about your crisps that got fats in it and got trans fats. That's not the fat we want in the diet at all. The cookies, the biscuits, no, leave those out, because those are negative impact to the body. Fat enables the body to absorb essential vitamins. Just stick on that. Essential vitamins. So vitamin A, vitamin D, E, and K, we need fats for those to be absorbed into the body. Okay, we can meet this lady. Okay, right. So carbohydrates, the main source of fuel for the body and the brain. And energy source during exercise, and it provides soluble and insoluble fibers that supports the gut. And I'm going to, a few more slides down, I'll talk about the gut and the cardiovascular health. So we need carbs. A lot of times we go on these diets where we cut all carbs out of the diet, but just remember that if you keep eating your fruits and your vegetables, you do get some carbs. It may not be the high carbs like the bread and the white bread and brown bread and wheat and all that stuff, but you do get some carbs. But the idea is we need carbs in the diet. Good for brain health as well too, I said before. Water. Are we drinking enough water? And oftentimes when a client comes to me, often I'll be saying, okay, do you drink enough water? How much water do you drink in a day? Oh, I drink a lot of water. But by asking questions and dissecting and say, okay, so what's the color of your urine? Or how many times do you go to the toilet during the day? That gives an indication whether or not this individual is drinking enough. And just to remind us that the body is 75% water. It's good for the blood, urine, kidneys. And so once you're dehydrated or you have constipation, headaches, a lot of time people say, oh, I just constantly have this headache. My head is constantly hurting. Are you drinking enough water? Is there enough water in your diet? Joint and muscle pain. How many times we say, my knees are hurting or my back, I've got back pain. Just to check in with yourself, am I drinking enough water? It's vital. And whether you're going to squeeze some lemon in your water or you have infused water, we need water in the diet on a daily basis. And of course, you drink the water in accordance, again, to the body weight. Okay, sticking. Okay. All right. There is nutrient deficiency. We are lacking nutrients. As a nation, as a people, we are lacking nutrients. When we lack nutrients in the body, okay, autoimmune diseases, pain, fatigue, sleep issues, decreased immune function, and the list goes on. The question is, how important is good nutrition for us all? It's very, very important. Heart and circulatory illnesses in the UK, 1 in 3 deaths every 3 minutes. 1 in 3 deaths every 3 minutes. 44,000 deaths each year. Lack of nutrition. Are we eating the right foods? Are we eating foods that will replenish the body? Are we eating at the right time? Are we eating foods that synergize with each other? And we'll discuss that a little bit a little bit further in the slide. So if it's nutrient deficiency, what's stealing our nutrients? Because some may be saying, but I eat well. So then why are they then showing up with aches and pains and all the, you know, the symptoms, headaches, PMS, and fatigue? I'm always tired. Oh, I go to bed, but I get up, I'm feeling tired. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm very sleepy. No motivation, feeling low, depression. Now, these are just an example of the reasons, what I call nutrient stealers. So they deplete the body of nutrients. And I'm going to hit out first on stress. When we constantly stress, okay, the body uses up a lot more nutrients that it normally has. And if you're an individual who's not then eating right or not eating to supply the body with all the nutrients, then your stores will be very, very low. You know, when you actually keep going to the bank to retrieve money from your savings, keep pulling it out and not actually putting any credit in your account, not putting anything back into your account, but you keep going to the cash point, eventually thinking, oh, is that what much I have left in my account? Where did the money go? Where did it all go? Nutrient stealers. Alcohol is one of them. So if you're drinking alcohol, but be sure to know that your body will be deficient in especially your B vitamins. Alcohol. Am I saying not to drink? I would advocate not to drink, and I'll give the reasons for that. But just to highlight some of the nutrient stealers, not to mention the sugars and the crisps and the white bread and the McDonald's. Well, I'm saying McDonald's, but I probably shouldn't. I'll just say chips, fries, as we may refer to them as. Just ensure that when we eat a lot of sugar, the sugar competes with vitamin C. Now, vitamin C is very, very important, and I will talk a little bit about that later on. But these foods, or what I call processed foods, because someone likes them, yes, but just be informed that they steal the body of the nutrients that the body so needs in such a time as this. Now, for those of us in the UK, we are on another lockdown, okay, of health. And once you're constantly stressed about something, that already depletes the body. Now, when we are stressed and constantly stressed, and we're susceptible to stress, so we will be stressed out. However, I always say to clients, try to manage that stress, because acute stress is good. So I'm an individual like this, where if I have a piece of work to do or write an essay or get that piece of work done. Now, if I'm constantly stressed, 6 months to a year, the same level, that then moves into what's called chronic stress. Chronic stress breaks the body down. As it breaks down the rest of the body, the organs in terms of the gut, it takes a back seat. It doesn't function very well. So you often find someone who's constantly stressed is constipated. We'll come on to that a little bit further. So let's moving on to the next slide. To add, you know, bacteria, fungi, virus that lives in and on the individual. So you may be thinking, oh, look at your hands, yes, fine, but you've got microbes sitting on your skin and in the body, and particularly, but we want to have more good microbes than bad microbes, because the good ones have a ton of work to do. Oh, I have a decision to make, but I know what decision is going to be like because I can feel it in my gut. You have that connection, that rumbling, or it could be mine that, oh, it's time coming, a week to go or 2 days, I'm going to see that person. And you feel that butterfly movement in your stomach, in your gut area. Yes, because it's referred to as the second brain. The gut and the brain has a strong connection via the vagus nerve, and they talk to each other. Information goes up, information goes down. But in addition to that, we have the microbes I mentioned before that are doing a lot of the talking. And we have 100 trillion microbes in the gut. I refer to them as the army on the inside. They have a job to do. And they have a job in terms of they need to break down the foods that you're eating. They need to create the energy. When you actually eat, I would say, an apple, or you've actually eaten some donuts, it responds to that. And so that's why nutrition is so important, because we want to input only good stuff that in the body. So the microbes in the gut, they process the enzymes, the vitamins, the medication you're taking in as well too, the fatty acids, they have a job to do. And in addition to that, in the gut is the immune system. 70% of the immune system is in the gut. So, tally it all up again. If your diet is not of such where it's healthy with your plant-based foods and vegetable system, what will happen there to it? Let's look looking a bit closer to it, to your immune system and to the gut. Just move my slide. So the gut flora on the inside, I mentioned about how inside, they're an army. They've got a job to do. They need to, and you're feeling upset stomach, and you need to get rid of that food. So we've got microbes on the ground, on the inside, to help to fight the bad microbes. Often though, if you find yourself eating your food and having bloating at the end of it, or you eat your food and you just keep burping at the end of the meal, so the microbes there, quite firmly linked, inflammation. So again, what you actually put into the body goes into the mouth. Of course, what's not being absorbed and all the excess will support my body. Is it good enough for me to be at my peak, my performance? Okay, so I may be diagnosed with high blood pressure. Am I eating a diet that will help my blood pressure? To ask, and of the immune system is in the gut. Now, the immune system is what I call like a firewall. Just like you have your laptops and your computers and you have a firewall so Trojans and viruses don't attack. Just see the body, the immune system as such. But when the immune system doesn't work properly, then we have nutrient. And with this another lockdown again, I know a lot of people will be worried about what's the future holds. You're staying up at night, not sleeping properly. Alcohol, age, genetic, toxins. What do you put in your hair? Are you using a lot of chemicals on your hair? The list goes on. But this is just giving an idea that when you mix ourselves up, we are at higher risk of developing all the chronic illnesses out there. So mentioned about the immune system. So we have there's two immune systems. The one's called innate and one called adaptive. Now the innate, there are microbes, the white blood cells, the red blood cells. The red blood cells takes oxygen around the body. The white blood cells are there to attack anything that comes in on the skin or through into the body. They're on alert. And if there's something they don't recognize, they will get at it and get rid. If it means that they're not managing very well and it then escapes that first layer, which is the innate system, then we will have which I don't recognize. I'm not strong enough to deal with it, escape in. And so when the innate immune system is triggered, sometimes you have things like a cold. You could be, your allergies are playing up. And sometimes people say, well, I constantly have a cold, which is, not that very good. Or your allergies are playing up, but it just shows that your immune system is responding to something. So it's not all bad, but we then need to find out the root cause. Why is it triggering? What's triggering that immune system? So this is where the adaptive people comes in, and they actually attack the pathogen that is inside the body. The diet is key for the immune system. And this is just a study that I just put on here to show you that it's not just my words, but the studies are out there. Do the research and you will see how important it is to eat a healthy diet. We spoke about the macronutrients. We spoke about the fats, the protein. We spoke about carbohydrates. Now we're going looking at the vitamins that help the immune system as well too. Help to protect against disease, create such nutrients on your plate. The question is, what's on your plate? And require optimal levels for effective heat. Let food be your medicine, medicine be your food. We need the fuel in order for the body to operate at its best. Let's just look at some of the what I call building blocks of the immune system. And you probably want to take note of this. So, zinc is a mineral, and zinc is a trace mineral. Zinc will help with things like, so we've got zinc, we've got selenium, we've got omega-3, we have iron. And especially in a time that we live in now, the message to all out there is to eat a balanced diet in order to help to fight disease off. Now, am I saying that if you eat healthy, you'll never get COVID or any other illness? What I'm actually saying is with a strong immune system, you're better able to fight off or to ward off illnesses that's coming to you. It could mean that with a strong immune system, that your recovery is much shorter because the body has the right fuel in order to respond. So let's just talk here about selenium. Selenium is a trace mineral. Selenium, in every cell in the body, selenium has a receptor, which means selenium is needed in every organ in the body. Selenium helps to reduce some cancers. It's a powerful antioxidant. Heart disease, thyroid, boost immune system, of course, asthma. And this is just giving you a flavor of what selenium does. Protects the cell. So if you have diabetes, you want to ensure that your diet incorporates selenium. Prostate cancer or prostate for the men, ensure that your diet has selenium. Thyroid, a lot of us have a thyroid issue where we don't convert T4 to T3 to a form, which is a hormone that the body then can utilize. And we need selenium for that. Now, you may think, okay, why isn't Brazil nut on here? Because Brazil nut is an important nut that's very high in selenium. But what I will say at this point is, if you're going to eat Brazil nuts, that you soak Brazil nuts. Because you know it has that coating on the outside, the coating, that is a fiber, which is very hard to break down. So you want to soak your Brazil nuts before eating them. But they're very high in selenium. Next up, we have zinc. Now, zinc is again, immune system booster. But not only that, healthy digestion. If the body doesn't have enough zinc, when you eat your food, you're not able to digest your food well. So nerve function as well too. Metabolism, cell membrane, healthy skin. Now, the moment you're diagnosed with an illness, and I'm just speaking on like hypertension or autoimmune disease, or let's just say a gut one, so irritable bowel syndrome could be, or it could be something to do with the liver or kidney stones. Once the body is inflamed, we want to ensure that our diet has zinc. You have a cold zinc, you have a slower time to recover from your illness. So we want zinc. Zinc helps to reduce inflammation, aches and pains, reduce inflammation. Infections. Once we have zinc in the body, it gets rid of infection. So that's very, very good now for the immune system. Okay, moving on swiftly. Next up, we have magnesium. Now, magnesium is what I call the forgotten, or more like the missing mineral. Why do I say that? Because once the body is stressed, going through a period of stress, magnesium is used up very, very quickly. And magnesium is responsible for over 300 biochemical aches and pains. Magnesium helps with diabetes, PMS as well too, by side with calcium. Now we know calcium is in the bones and we need to have calcium. And a lot of people will say, go to the doctor and the GP, and they prescribe or be told or recommend to take calcium. But with the aches and pains or the symptoms that you're experiencing, could it be that your magnesium level is low? Now, how do you check your magnesium level? A doctor's visit, a GP results may show that's fine. your levels are fine. But because only 1% of magnesium is in the blood, then we have to go into the cells to see what the cells, how much magnesium is in the cell. And as I said before, if you're an individual who suffers from depression or anxiety or very stressed, workplace stress or home, your magnesium levels would likely to be very, very low because it depletes. The body uses that magnesium very quickly in such heart disease, and the list goes on. So if you have salmon, and I always say this, if you're going to eat your salmon, ensure that it's wild caught salmon, okay? Big on your plate. Avocados, olive oil, and as I said before, once your immune system is weakened, then you are at a higher risk of developing diseases, chronic illnesses. Vitamin research, and there are studies now to prove and to show how crucial this is referred to as the sunshine hormone or the sunshine. And further down, I'll be explaining the reasons as to why maybe we don't get COVID and its connection with, and not just in England, but around the world. And we would have it does exist in others, but not in abundance. We'll look at that. Now, vitamin D. Vitamin D comes in 3 forms. As I said before, you can get it from the sunlight because it penetrates the skin. And from the skin, it comes from an individual who having issues with your liver. You have a fatty liver or a liver that's not working right that the body requires, because the body not then, the liver is actually not working at its best to break it down into a form that the body to get vitamin D in. And of course, the recommended daily allowance for vitamin D in England is 4. If I'm stressed out, I'm always stressed. I live in a stressful world. I have children. There's a close relationship, hand in hand, with vitamin D and magnesium. Could it be now that we need to look at that and we need to increase those doses? Because when I see my clients and I work one-to-one with that person, and I will say, okay, assess what their diet is, whether they need supplements or not. Then, so we look at our foods. So we get vitamin D also in our foods. Now, because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, it remains in the liver. So the liver can, or the body can go for storage every so often. Not like your vitamin C or your B vitamins, especially vitamin C, where you need a daily allowance. They are fat-soluble vitamins, so they remain in the body until, of course, it's depleted. And sometimes we are depleted of vitamin D. So there are 2 forms. And so in the liver, so when you calcidiol, and when then the kidney gets involved to a further stage of the vitamin D, whether it could be from the sun, it's coming in by the supplements or the food, then it's called calcitriol. So we want to ensure that we are getting enough at the various stages, because if our liver or organs, liver and kidneys are not up to optimal health, then we have something just floating around in the body, or it goes back end. But again, how important is our nutrients? Keeping that in mind. So COVID, March 2020 in England, total lockdown, shutdown. I don't have to remind you about it. Our lives changed. What life was and how it was and how it is now, it is totally different. Some people saying they're walking around in a dream, still in a dream, because how things are so different. So we had COVID-19, and so many of us were affected by COVID. Okay, this is hot off the press. That was yesterday, 6th of November. Just look at the numbers here. We are in another lockdown, and the numbers are rising. The question is, well, during the summer months between June, when the borders were open and we were able to go out a bit more and go into the park and go visit, or is that? Why is that? And now it's a lockdown and you're indoors. And now it's dark. So we are in winter. There is a close connection with vitamin D and COVID-19. Not just my words, but the research around there took out when they did the studies, they now realized that those individuals, they were low in vitamin D. The bodies were low. Those individuals who work in the hospitals, you know, because if I remind you, the 8 doctors, individuals who lost their life first in March, they were all from the ME race, okay? And they're all Black people, and they died. And I think that's when the alarm bells were ringing. Why is this happening? Is there a connection? And the answer is yes, there is a connection. The studies are there. You do your research, it's everywhere now. Studies show that low levels of vitamin D leads to an increased risk of COVID-19. Not just my words. And I'm saying to you now, we are on another lockdown. So you're probably thinking, okay, so what's now? What do I do now? What do I do? Have a look at this chart. So COVID-19 deaths per 100,000 people of each group. And that was taken in May 2020. And just look at where the amount of people who were affected in terms of the various different races. Black people was affected. This is not just for the UK that we lost a lot of Black people. Other races as well, don't get me wrong, but a lot of Black people. So why is that? People who are, there are now studies that, and they're currently studies right now in France and in Spain as well, are given high amounts of vitamin D in the diet. People lived, they had the virus, but they were able to recuperate. They didn't lose their life. They recovered because their vitamin D levels were increased. This chart just explains it as well. People who were admitted to ICU admission, those who died, those who had vitamin D, there's someone in here, who had vitamin D in their diet and who were given the supplements, they recovered. So folks, there's a strong correlation, there's a strong link that vitamin D is important. What are you going to get yours from? The diet you're eating, what is going to come from the sun, which now we in the Northern Hemisphere, so the sun does for us, for those who were in UK or in Europe or in America, those colder parts, because we are in winter. But the message this evening is vitamin D has a place, and a very important place in fatigue, you name it, whatever it is that you're experiencing right now, vitamin D. Okay, let's move this on. Okay, but factors and vitamin D levels. If you're a smoker, I guarantee that you will inhibit the uptake of vitamin D in your body. The active form of vitamin D will be decreased if you're a smoker. If you're a person of age, the UVB rays to enter the skin and to penetrate, your skin will be more like blocking that process as you get older. And it is a fact and a reason then why our older folks died from COVID-19. So it was individuals who were diagnosed with hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, or had a heart condition. They were put on the strict list not to go out at all, not to interact with anybody else, that, you know, coming in and out of your home, and older people. Because what? Vitamin D absorbed in the body will be affected by those groups of people, or fit into that category. Race in that the black skin or skin, the melanin, there's a strong melanin in the skin which blocks UVB rays. So your time in the sun will be much longer. We shun to the shades, or put an umbrella up, or we drive in our cars, or we work in an AC environment throughout the entire day, and we do not then enjoy the sun. And we then not eating the foods to give us vitamin D or taking a supplement. Now it's winter for most of us now, so of course the sunshine disappears. And so that's why we then go to supplements to ensure that we're having a lot of the required amount that we need on a daily basis. The variability in vitamin and vitamin D levels and the response. Now we talk about nutrients, and this topic is about on nutrition. Vitamin D in the body on its own is good, but what good is it when if too much vitamin A, which comes from animal products, so if your diet eats a lot of things like liver and a lot of beef and red meat on vitamin D. Zinc also. Now zinc works hand in hand with vitamin D. But if there's too much zinc in the body, okay, then copper, which is another trace mineral, which is also very important, will be depleted. Vitamin C. Now, you've been told this before. You have a cold, get your Lemsip, drink some lemon, oranges to boost your immune system. Now, you'll have your vitamin C found aimlessly, not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Equally for magnesium. When your magnesium levels are low, vitamin D does not work well. So I'm explaining here there's a relationship, there is synergy. They need to have a good relationship with each other. The diet needs to, the plate, what's on the plate, or the diet needs to ensure that it has all of this on the plate for the body to utilize at its best. Calcium. When there's too much calcium in the body, magnesium runs away. If magnesium runs away, so does vitamin D, unable to do what it needs to do. So I may probably hear you rushing around now trying to get your phones or your laptop to see, okay, it's now winter, I need some vitamin D in my cupboards immediately. Yes, but ensure that you're taking vitamin D at the right time with the right nutrients and the right foods in order for the body able to uptake all the viruses that attacks us. If the body doesn't have enough vitamin D in it, then the immune system not able to decipher what is a cell that belongs to the body and what is a pathogen that's coming through. That's how important vitamin D is. It helps the microbes, white blood cell, to identify what is an attack or what's not. Selenium, we spoke about selenium earlier, and selenium as well too is an important mineral that needs to be on the plate every day because it's we require it in every cell that we have in the body. There are some other medical conditions that will hinder the uptake of vitamin D. Uptake of vitamin D. Now, if you have a gut issue, okay, so you have an issue with absorption. If you have an issue with absorption, then that's a gut issue. You won't have uptake vitamin D very well. Equally, liver. Now, we have some individuals who have their gallbladder removed because, of course, we have it with vitamin C, that we have the magnesium there, the calcium, that all work in synergy with each other for the uptake. Obesity. Obesity also is a condition, of course, but again, vitamin D we need a lot more vitamin D when we have all these illnesses. Leukemia, hypertension are just some of the illnesses that I make mention of now to highlight how important vitamin D is. We're going to talk about supplementation here because now it's winter, we need to supplement our body. As a nutritionist, I always advise make food be your medicine. So eat the nutrients from your food. When you eat your food, ensure that you're getting all the nutrients. But vitamin D is one exception. And especially if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, vitamin D is an exception. That we need to have or be supplementing our body from now, usually I say from September all the way back to April, because we need the levels, high levels of vitamin D. Because as you see, vitamin C also is with that supplement. Getting a reputable brand, but also that when you take your vitamin D3, that you take vitamin K2. Okay, some background noise. Can you mute your mic? Okay. Right, so K2 is also a fat-soluble vitamin, and they go hand in hand. Now, if you're on any medication like warfarin or medication that will thin your blood, then you don't need K2 because your blood's already thinned. But ensure that if you're going to take vitamin D3 supplementation, then actually use stream, but we have K2 that will help you along to the various, and so it doesn't coagulate and blocks up our arteries as well. Because and leukemia, as we know, the normal cells, what the cells make cells. But with leukemia, yeah, so with leukemia, you know, things are very different for that person. And I've made mention here because, of course, we can talk about leukemia now, and of course the charity. And for anyone out there who is diagnosed with this illness, that you make sure that you're registered with this charity to ensure that they can help you and having information, and you're not then suffering on your own or just quietly struggling along on your own. When you're low in vitamin D, it then puts you at a higher risk of leukemia. Also, if you've already been diagnosed with leukemia and vitamin D is low in the diet, as I mentioned before, we need vitamin D because it's in every cell of the body. And so it helps to metabolize in the blood and helps the blood and helps the individual, you know, with energy and with leukemia and vitamin D. Here are some research just to back that up. Okay, well, ensure that your diet has enough vitamin D and the right importance of nutrition. Good nutrition, malnutrition will only just escalate, highest in countries farther away from the equator. So the further you're away from the sun, where you get the sun on a daily basis, where your body can absorb that. As you can see here, leukemia accounts for, the studies are there to prove that how important vitamin D is. Donors for leukemia is always low, and I know I'm going to hand over very shortly now to Veronica, who's going to explain more about her charity, as she explained earlier for those who are just joining. And you know, the younger research shows and confirms that the donor under 30 years old leads to better survival rates for patients, and that's coming from Anthony Nolan organization. And this is very important here, this slide, because it says only that they're appealing to you, anyone out there who is listening, to join in and to register to become a stem cell donor. In comparison to places like Germany and Israel and Cyprus, they're much higher. And as we say, that people, we need donors in order to help people. So every 14 minutes, someone is diagnosed with blood cancer or related disorder. And so it's important then what we put in the body, what food we're eating, because it all adds up. It's very, very important in what we feed our body with. This is just a research here in August 2018 from the Cancer Research. It said the study looked at the eating habits and health of 42,000 people aged 40 and over who were cancer-free at the start of the study. Research followed the participants for 8 years. Your diet is important. What you put on your plate, what you put in your mouth is very, very important in warding off every illness that the body comes in contact with. Does it mean you're immune and will never get any illness? Not saying that at all, but my body to heal as well too. The body can heal itself, but with the right nutrients. I'm just going to hand over now to Veronica. She's going to talk to us about a bit more about being a donor and more about the charity.
Wow, 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 wow. That's too much information, but very essential. I was trying to get all the information in, but very, very, very useful. Protection. We call it being proactive in making sure that we avoid getting all the sorts of diseases that are out there. And I think the most important thing is what I'm very much interested in vitamin D, because I'm in that group of people who needs to really be careful, because especially when you start getting older as well. What at this point probably I'll be able to say is that we know there is COVID, and we know, of course, everybody is focused on COVID, and everybody is struggling with this pandemic stuff. But what I have to say is that people are still being diagnosed with leukemia. People are still being diagnosed with other different cancers. And what I would like to urge people is that people still require stem cell transplant. So even as we focus on COVID, people still need their lives to be saved. And if you ask a family member who have a patient who is requiring a bone marrow transplant, they'll tell you they're desperate. And this pandemic has not made things easier. So even as we struggle, I think we still have an opportunity to do something that can save a life. And for today, I think all I could say is that as Kevin Canara Leukemia Trust, our aim is to save lives. And what I would urge you is to please to register and to become a stem cell donor. It's easy, it's quick. You only need your swab, which you can just put in your mouth and post it back to the DKMS, and then that's all you need to do, and then you become a potential stem cell donor. It does not mean that once you register, you donate. It just means that you have agreed to become a potential stem cell donor. That means you can save a life if you match someone or a patient in the future. You might never match anyone, but at least you have agreed, or you have said that you can save a life if the need be. So you can sign up, and as KKLT, we are also looking for more volunteers to help us to do our work, to spread this information, to create awareness, to educate people on leukemia. And the other thing also we are doing at the moment is that if you know somebody who got cancer, and especially leukemia, and they need practical help, emotional support, we are here, we are doing that. We are very proactive, and especially during this COVID, we are also visiting people, we are encouraging them, we are doing practical stuff, we are also taking them food if they are struggling, but more so is the emotional help because of the isolation, because we all know when you're unwell, and also Sonya has said, you're not even getting that vitamin D, you're not talking to anyone. Isolation is a very big factor for mental health. So you can imagine somebody who got leukemia, and then they're not going out, they're not meeting people, and then they have a serious illness. So we are going and we are connecting with these people to support them emotionally, and also with any practical. So if you know anyone, please contact us. We're going to put the details on once Richard comes on. Then the other thing also, we also ask people to do is to support us financially, because there is no work that is ever done without financials. So we really do urge people to go to our website. There is a donation page, and every little helps. £2, £3, £5, whichever amount that you feel that God has blessed you with, you can support the trust so that we can really increase this work. Our vision really is, as you heard, that Black people are very few in the bone marrow registry, is that if you look at Africa, where there are so many Black people, there are no registries there. And one of our big vision, our dream, is if we could get a registry back in Africa, and especially in East Africa. So it is a dream, but we always think that we do believe every step, every journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. It starts with a dream, it starts with a vision, and that's what we aim to. And we hope, even if we don't achieve that in this time, we hope that Kevin Canara Leukemia Trust will leave that work, we start the work, and somebody will.
So much, Veronica, for that brief. As we had, we really need as many people as we can to be on the donor registry. And as Sonya said, most of us Black and Asian minority, we're not very good at doing this. We're not very good and getting on the wagon of being donors. It's as if we have that sort of ignorance. Please, you can save someone, you can save a life, you can be there for someone else. It feels so good that you've been a hero, done as heroes here at KKLT. And we have a few questions for Sonya, and before we go to the question and answer session, please go ahead. I'll give Sonya a few minutes just to conclude your presentation. Just remember, it will be important for us to remember. Now we're going to throw some questions at you, if that's okay, Sonya.
That's fine. Yes.
Okay.
I just want
Brilliant.
to quickly go to my slide again and just to wrap it up, to bring it home. But just give me access to that. But basically, let food be your medicine and medicine your food. I mean, we are people that we need to support the body with good nutrients. And it doesn't matter what illness you have, you're encouraged to eat right. And not only the eating, but also, and you probably want to jot this down because I'm going to spell an acronym right now. So it's nutrition. What you put in, you become. So we maybe not have access to go to the park anymore, to walk around, but jog on spot, exercise. In your front room, in your bedroom, you have a bedroom, you sleep, you get up, do some jogging, keep moving, keep the blood flow going. Water, I mentioned water, about hydration. Ensure that you're drinking enough water in the day to help the blood, to help the kidneys, to flush out, to detoxification, to keep the blood moving and things moving. Ensure you're drinking your water. S for sunshine. Now, we haven't got that at the moment, but will supplement with our vitamin D. And ensure that your supplement, if you're going for that, does have K2. However, if you're taking, so then we have tea. Tea is temperance. Now, you have the bag of crisps, a big bag of crisps. Don't eat all of it in one go. You have 10 apples, don't eat 10 apples in one go. Temperance is key. So there's a balance there. Then we have R for rest. Now, I know a lot of us are not sleeping because I know the clients who I see, they are not sleeping properly. They're not sleeping before 12 o'clock. And they may fall asleep and they get up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because they go for a comfort break or other kids. But just remember that to get a good night's sleep, you have to prepare yourself for that. Just like if you were invited to a very special occasion, there. So open your windows. For those who are not able to go out and walk about, get some fresh air. Open your windows to get some fresh air in. Or if you have a garden, go out there on the front garden. Yes, it's cold, but still go out there. Breathe in some fresh air. It's very good for the oxygen in the blood. And of course, especially if you're having difficulty sleep at night, just open the window just a little bit. Yes, I know it's cold, but just crack your window a little bit in order to get that fresh air in. And of course, so if God you pray to or you have a relationship with, trust, because living in such time is stressful. Your mind is constantly racing. Okay, I've got Christmas coming. Usually we gather our friends and we have all the family around and we can cook a meal to those who celebrate. Even if you don't celebrate, even to gather around with your family, there's restriction. And you have to follow the rules. And I would definitely say as well, follow the rules. Follow the rules. Follow the guidelines. Don't go against that, okay? So things will be different. So when you're getting a bit worried and anxious about things, pray, read a book, meditate. Do whatever it is that you do for you to help relieve that stress. And so that's what I will leave with you today. But just remember that let food be your medicine, medicine your food. And when the food is not in abundance or not giving you what you need, then and only then I would recommend some supplements.
That was a brilliant presentation. And I'll allow people to ask. And let's see how I have some questions already that came through, but if anyone wants to directly ask a question. Okay, one of the main, someone's typing, one of the main questions I was asked, Sonya, is how much vitamin D is enough and how much is excess? Because we've talked about I am taking. So how much vitamin D is in excess? Can you have a lot more than you require?
And And what I'll say is at this point also that this information shared with you today is just information and educational purposes. But in terms of how much is enough, so the recommended daily allowance from the government says, and especially for us who live in the northern hemisphere where we don't have the sun around us throughout, and because of that, that helps. We then need more. The doctors actually give you 50,000 IU in one shot, and then you then reduce the dosage down because it all depends on the it's all relative to the individual what they go through. And so I've noticed where 100 microgram, which is 4,000 IU, is being recommended as well too. I've actually seen where depends on individual basis. If you need to contact me for further information on that, I have a slide with my details. I can actually put in the chat if you like, to talk more about more personal.
Yes,
questions.
in fact, someone had asked how can you be contacted. So if there's a slide for us,
yes,
you can put that in there. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do that, and let's continue with the questions. The other one is specifically from me. You spoke about selenium. I have always, being a previous cancer patient, I've always been aware of the selenium, and the first thing I was told is, oh, why don't you just get some nuts? Because I love nuts, and I decided, okay, Brazil nuts, here I come.
Yeah, but then roast it now. You don't want to get the oils to roast it too much, because then it comes and rancid. So if you just it's not the best. We want the natural, fresh stuff in the body. So so you can blanch it in the oven, of course, but not fully roasting. That when you put it down, it becomes rancid. Yeah.
Can I ask
but then
question?
soaking it is quite good. Yeah.
Can I ask one? I think somebody also had asked it, and I also very much interested in it. They're asking about the link between vitamin D and hypertension.
Yeah. Remember, vitamin D is on every cell in the body, so every cell needs that. Same as selenium. Those two and more, but they need that. So usually, when you have been diagnosed with hypertension, quite likely, I say the word likely, strong underline, that the person would have been deficient in vitamin D back then, whenever that was, when they were diagnosed. So that's why now you need that in your diet to help the levels, the serum levels in the body, what goes in the cell, because you have what goes in the blood and what actually is in the body itself. So yes, definitely.
Lovely.
That'll be a must for anyone who's been diagnosed with diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular illnesses. Just about every illness, to be honest, you need vitamin D.
Brilliant. Oh, that's good. The other one is, does sunscreen hamper vitamin D absorption?
Yes, it does. It does. Now, when I see certain folks out there putting on, you have to, because the sun rays, especially during the summer months. Yes, but in short, I always say to clients, if you're like a white person, you can be out there for 20 minutes, and that's why they definitely need the sunscreen, because the sun's harsh. Yes, the UV rays are, but UV rays. But for a darker complexion now, maybe 40 to 50 minutes, and you'll be okay. So for you, then of course, when you have your dose, then yes, you may want to put some block on, but not to be on all of to say, oh, I don't want the sun, I don't want the sun, I want to shoot the sun out. No, you want the sun, you want the vitamin D. That's the natural source coming through. So you want that. Step outside when it's sunny. Get ready for next year, 2021, when the sun comes back in abundance.
And I think the other one I've got here is sunlight lamps during winter. How about that? Are they helpful?
Yeah, they are helpful, pains and stuff, but nothing beats the natural source. So if the sunlight is getting from the food, or and if you have to go with the supplements, then ensure that it's a reputable brand and doesn't have other fillers and other stuff. Ensure that, yes.
And somebody else is, do black people need sun protection factor? Yes. Sun protection factor. So
see, get the best of the sunlight is between the hours of like 9 to 3, because and a very good indicator is, when you're standing in the sun and you're taller than you walk around, that's fine. You're not going to be burnt or anything. There's no negative impact on you there. Walk around, enjoy the sun. It's natural. People run away from that. They put an on or a big hat, or cover up.
I don't remember last time I measured myself with the shadow
With the
of the sun. I
sun.
need to be Africa to do that. But
We do get some in the UK. We do get some in the UK. Yeah.
it's better together. Unless anybody has any more questions?
Yes, one here about CMOS. What do you think about CMOS with nutrition?
Yes, CMOS is good. I know I didn't mention anything like any herbs or any other stuff in this talk, but yes, I advocate CMOS. CMOS is good. Very good, very nutritious for the body.
And you mentioned about salmon. Which one is different? Why you specifically advised about a particular salmon?
So if you're gonna have salmon, if your diet, that's what you want to eat, I ensure that you have the wild caught salmon as opposed to, and I know, yes, clients said, but it's very expensive. I said, I know. So the one that looks really peachy as opposed to the one that we only get in the shop, which is farmed. Once it's farmed, it's very likely that it will have to feed other stuff that we're not too sure. But the ones that they get in, the wild caught salmon, is much more healthier than the farmed salmon. And equally, I will say this as well while I'm on this topic, because if you're eating meat, if your diet allows meat, I always stress this to my clients. It's best if you don't eat meat, especially, and I'll say this, especially if you're diagnosed with an illness, okay? And the reason for that, if you don't have a very good digestive system, to break the meat down takes much longer. So if your digestive juices, your enzymes in your gut is depleted, and especially as they get older in life, that happens. That tends to happen. Then you prescribe things like digestive enzymes to help with the digestion. So, but of course, if you have your meat, I'm not going to say to you, don't eat your meat at all. Ensure, though, it's clean meat. And what do I mean by clean? That it's an organic, it's grass-fed, as opposed to corn-fed. So ensure, and yes, and it's a bit more expensive, but guess what? You're special. So what goes into your body needs to be of what? Quality. Needs to be of quality. So have your meat, of course, but ensure that it's from a good butcher or a good place, or organic, farmed, raised, or as opposed to in a shedding cattle or chicken, whatever it is. Ensure
you
it's good
scared
quality.
me there, Sonia.
I scared you? To scare anyone on here.
I have to eat my meat,
Yeah. Just ensure that it's good quality meat you're having, and that you have a very good digestive system to break it down, because just like when you eat your fruits and vegetables, they take a shorter time to pass through the digestive tract, whereas the meat do take longer. And
Veronica, any questions on your end?
Yes, there is another one here that I don't know what you've asked this one about nutrients. What nutrients improve the microbiome health and how probiotics help?
Yes. So the microbes, yeah, probiotics is quite good. Now, probiotics, you have pre and you have probiotics. Fermented food is quite good to feed the microbes. And things like the fibers also help. So if you're choosing a probiotics, ensure that it's a very good one, that when it gets to your stomach, I know it sits on the shelves, but by the time it gets to you're actually getting the amount of the bacteria you could actually taking bacteria in. So ensure that it's a good brand that you're taking. But probiotics is good. Fermented foods, so like things like kimchi or sauerkraut that you make with your cabbage, and salt and water is very easy to make. Look on YouTube, you see all the recipes around with the good microbes. Things like leek, asparagus, and those fiber stuff, very good for potatoes as well too. Very good for the microbes. We need to feed them, not sugar. They don't do very well with sugar. And even though sometimes they absorb, they get accustomed to such diets, and they try to do with what they give them the right stuff. Of course, there'll be a tight shield.
Extended fasts have been said to have immense benefit for longevity and even in assisting the body with deep healing. What would you say are the must-have supplements in terms of nutrients and minerals for someone doing a fast, for somebody doing a fast longer or up to 7 days?
Right. So fasting is good, very good, because the body's at rest. All the organs at rest, and they have time to recuperate. fasting is, I do advocate fasting. So if you're doing a dry fast, then you just do dry fast or water, and I would ensure, you know, you take 6 of water if you need to hydrate. But then you have juice fast. It could be a green juice fast as well too, and that of course replenish the cells. All the and detox as well too, because anything green I always go to in terms of detoxifying the body, getting rid of all the toxins in the so we talk about the gut and the liver and the kidney and all that, and in the cells. Green juices are very good for that. So it could be for that person have green juice. Green juice could be that you're only having just juicing your kale and your spinach, or it could be just your celery and your apples, or your cucumber. But anything green helps with detoxing and getting rid of toxins. So if you're on a fast, you can have a juice fast as well. And of course, with the green juice, you're getting a lot of nutrients from that, from the greens. Once you incorporate your greens on your plate, you know you're doing very well, because it's not just, you know, magnesium you get from leafy green vegetables, leafy green spinach, but there's other wholesome other nutrients that you get from your bowl of salads or your cooked vegetables, broccolis and your cauliflower and those stuff, asparagus, all the yummy stuff that people don't normally go to when they having a treat. You never see someone munching on a carrot. Let me give myself a treat, munching on a carrot. Maybe it's a donut or something else. But yeah, just be mindful of what goes in. You absorb.
I have a question here. How good is Yakult and Actimel? And one, I know you mentioned about probiotic. Is it about the branding or?
Yes.
What do you think?
They're okay. However, I'll say however, because I'm sure they have sugar in it, and you don't want too much sugar, added sugar in your diet. And there are they're superior, but there's other probiotics that you can incorporate as opposed to Yakult. But as a reach to and a go-to, people do use them. Yeah.
Anything you end?
I think it's just a quick one because of time. If you could answer this quickly. So there are two, so I'll ask you both. What happens if the body cannot digest some food, i.e. meat, or what about should we eat fruit before or after main meal? And what about eating carbohydrates low? Those are 3 questions, so that we can wind up. You can
Okay. So you mentioned about what do we do when the body's not absorbing? Digest.
Yeah.
So it's 2 things. One could be there ain't enough digestive enzymes to break the meat down. Okay. So we see, so we look at the person's age, how old they are, or what's going on in the gut. If there's some gut issues that we need to get rid of, and then you start put the meat back in if the person so wish to do that. So there'll be, you know, whether you do a detox to get rid of other stuff going on, toxins in the body, and to start eating your food again. That's one. The next question was, what was the next question again? Sorry, Veronica?
It's about, do we eat fruits before or after a meal, I think.
Right. Great. Fruits need to be eaten before the meal, not after. And the reason I'm saying this is because the fruit, just look at the fruit, breaks down very quickly than the meat. So when your meat and the rice and whatever the food you've eaten, your dinner has gone down, then you're having the fruit after, that will cause fermentation in the gut. And that's why a lot of us have gut issues, because we're not eating at the right time. One, we're not eating the foods in where they should be eaten. So your fruit should be eaten first. Your salads first. Then you have the solid coming after. But again, that could be a one-to-one conversation to have with someone. But as a general, you'll be encouraged or recommend to eat your fruits first and your salads first before the bulky soluble foods. Brilliant. And there was a third part of the question, I think, Veronica.
I think that's about the cabbage. Eating a cabbage when it's
raw cabbage. You know, we know sometimes you have your coleslaw, and so they have the cabbage and the carrot. You think it's stomach doesn't do very well with such soluble fiber. So it's best to steam or blanch cabbage, and you have your cabbage away, as opposed to having it raw. Stomach doesn't do very well in breaking down that fiber.
Somebody is also asking, when you juice the fruit, can you drink after a meal?
Right, and drinking is another thing too, because when you drink after you've just eaten, or you eat and drink, you are just interrupting what the body does best. The body doesn't need you to help it with drink. Oh, I need to have, so I eat a spoon of something and I drink immediately after. Body doesn't need that, because that really disrupts your digestive system. So you should be eating your food and allow the saliva and all the juices in the mouth to break that food down. And of course, the water or the juice comes after, and say an hour and a half after. So it doesn't interrupt.
An hour and a half.
Yes. So it doesn't. So you separate the two. And to be honest, I mean, this is what I encourage my clients to do. They will eat their food, and the water will come in between meals. So not in with your meals. You have your meal, whether it's breakfast you had some porridge, whatever that looks like, your breakfast looking like. Right. And then an hour and a half later, you have your water. You drink that water. And then when lunchtime comes, you have your lunch, a good, good portion, but not to eat and drink, because that really upsets the digestive system, what we should be doing.
So we have the KKLT website where we have all the information. If you want to be a donor, if you want to even donate something today, you can go on our website. There's a standing order if you want to set up a standing order. There's so many of you that are monthly givers. We receive standing orders every month, and we're very, very grateful for you and grateful for your life. And we would want to, the main thing you need to understand is this organization is run purely on volunteering. We're all volunteers here, no one is paid. And it's just that we love doing this. We have a passion for it. We somehow been affected by cancer in one way or the other, and we want to be there for someone else. Someone else, especially for myself. I know I wasn't able to get the amount of support like what KKLT is doing. So I would want to be there for someone else who's going through cancer right now.
You can contact us there on that info. And also our website is www.kkltrust.org. I've written it on our chat box. So please visit our website. And then if you want to join us as a volunteer, if you want to register to become a stem cell donor, which is we are all about, we really want those numbers to increase. We want to save lives. If you have anybody that you have in mind that we can support, and also if you want to donate for us so that this work can continue. As Jane said, we don't have any employee in KKLT. We are all volunteers. So we volunteer our time to just do this great noble thing of saving lives. So my finishing words would be thank you so much for everyone who was able to set their time apart and join us. We are really, really very grateful, because you can call our party and if nobody knows it, it's all for nothing. We called you, we invited you, and you came in, and that shows a lot of respect. It shows a lot of interest. Really, really humbled. We are really very thankful, and we hope that you have learned something today that we can all put in practice so that we can look after our health, because they say our health is our wealth. Because if you're unwell, it does not matter how much money you earn, it does not matter how much money you've got, because if you're not feeling well, it all does not make any sense, and it does not make it's not important anymore. So we need to look after our health. And especially when it comes to leukemia, I think it is good when we are proactively doing it before we get unwell. We don't have to till we get unwell for us to take action. I think we need to be proactive in looking after our health, so that when that time comes, even when we get close to anything that could harm us, I think they just find a wall that they cannot get into us because we are already taking care of ourselves. In fact, the funny thing, I was listening to a program this morning that somebody said that in this day and time that we are the most blessed people, that lifestyle, the things we have at our fingertips, we are no longer like the old people, you know, we have great lives. But on top of that, having all that, we are losing our health right, left, and center. Whether it is physical, whether it is mental, we are suffering as if we don't have anything, but people have everything. So that means it's all about our lifestyle. And I think if we take care of our lifestyle, we are going to be able to take care of our health, our family, our nation, and the world. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening. We'll let you know we'll have another event coming in the next 3 weeks. So we'll let you all know, and then you can join us again for a wonderful, wonderful event like tonight. So contact Sonya. I think she's written her contact details on the chat box. Please get hold of it. You can get more information.